just go for it.
Hello, listeners, and thanks for joining again or for the first time. Today, we are talking future-focused fashion with guest Rebekah McQuoid, design consultant and business development manager at Good Earth Cotton. We're going to talk climate-positive cotton, fiber traceability, global supply chains, and the role of technology in sustainable fashion. I am so excited for this, Beck. Thank you for taking time to talk.
Thank you for having me. I'm also very excited.
You have a tough schedule to get in on, so this is quite the treat. I really appreciate your making the space. So tell us how you found yourself doing such futuristic sounding work in the fashion world.
Oh, I know. It's actually very exciting, and I'm very thrilled to have my job. I love it. So have been in the fashion industry for over 30 years, across all areas. I know your eyes lit up then. Yes, a long time.
It is a long time. Plus, you look like you started when you were 12 or something.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take it all. I'll take it all. No, but I absolutely love it. That's the thing. It's addictive. I'm very passionate about it. And that's why it's really exciting to be in this future mode. But started off more traditional, studied fashion, was lucky enough to get into fashion, have done roles mainly overseas actually, where it's been creative director or research and development with fibers specifically. The majority of my background has been denim. And probably my favorite job, besides what I'm doing now, of course, was working for Gap in New York, where I lived for quite some time. And that was a very focused position on denim globally. So it was a research and development and innovation role. So you really got to learn about the detail and really get into the textile area and right through the supply chain. So I was working directly from the original source, not to the cotton farms, which I am now, which excites me greatly. But definitely from the spinning onwards, which is very unusual to be able to do that within a fashion role. It's not something that's easily, I feel like I was lucky, put it that way. So that gave me the passion for the detail, especially on the supply chain and understanding all the facets of where it goes. The other end of that spectrum, I also focused on denim washes and development as well. So again, it was from the starting point of creating the fabric all the way through to the washing and the detailing of that fabric as well. So again, denim, like I said, has been my main focus. I've had roles from R&D, as I said, but through to design director and creative director. So at COVID, like many other people, I kind of had some time to think about what I was sort of a change, just a pivot. Like, again, I feel like everyone my age did at that time. And I decided to consult. And I was lucky enough within that decision to meet some lovely people called David and Danny Statham, who I now work for. They are, I guess, entrepreneurs. They're agricultural farmers, but they also have many other businesses that help support that. So with that, they've started, well, number one, the company that I'm working at now is Good Earth Cotton. So they own that particular company, but separately they have a company called Fibre Trace, which we'll also talk about a little bit. And so I met them through friends in New York, actually, who they were looking to trial the Good Earth Cotton with this Fibre Trace combined in the market. So I was lucky enough at that stage to be design director at Nobody Denim. So a local brand where we did production locally.
Local to Melbourne?
Local to Melbourne, yeah. Actually,
in Melbourne.
Fitzroy, yeah, exactly. And it was
wow. Okay.
It was a luxury. It was really, really lovely to come.
For our listeners who are not familiar with the Melbourne landscape, Fitzroy is a very funky part of town where you go for amazing music and art. And just if I were 20 years younger and child-free, that is where I would live for sure.
Absolutely.
I digress. Yeah.
Yes, no, that's perfect because it was a bit of a luxury to be in that trendy part of town and actually have our laundry, which I also used to work at when I started my career, right there. So I was able the laundry to wash the jeans. So it was like going back in time, sort of like the late 90s and then re-emerging again in sort of the, 2015, I think it was that I was there. So yeah, it was like full circle. So yes, at Nobody Denim, I had the luxury of actually doing real production right in the heart of town, which was great. So within that opportunity, I met this fabulous family and launched this Good Earth Cotton through one of our European fabric manufacturers, and was sort of the starting point. So from there, I stayed in contact with them. Because they do such fabulous things and they really are innovators in their field. And then once COVID came and I started consulting, they approached me and asked me if I'd be interested in working with them. And that's the story, a
And you're
long-winded
off and running.
version of the
No,
story.
that's what we're here for. You know what?
Yeah.
On that denim wash thing,
Mm.
I have a personal request. Um,
Yes.
I don't care for those washes that make the denim look dirty. It
Mm.
looks like like you just got home from
Hmm.
working in the mud or
Yeah.
sand, really. It's like that brown.
Yeah.
Can we do something about that?
Oh,
Why is that even
I
there?
have tried. I have tried. It is not
Love
my
it.
favorite wash. Every
So
time it comes
ugly.
back in fashion, I try and get rid of it. Yes, I'm not a big fan. I must say I have done it before because, when trends come, you can't ignore them. But yes, not my favorite. It's
Okay,
a,
well, at least solidarity.
that's a whole nother podcast right there. I mean, a whole nother webinar, I think, because it's just, yeah,
Really?
so many different washes. People love to talk about denim. It's like everyone's got a story. Yeah.
That's insane. So, okay,
Mm.
so you've worked across design, product development, and now sustainability. How do you maintain your motivation through transitions like that? I'm curious always about motivation.
Yeah, so for me, it's learning and teaching actually combined. So
Yeah.
with all my roles, I've managed to continually be learning. I mean, fashion, technology, innovation, it all comes together. So there's always
Mm,
newness. So there's always a new fabric. I mean, from my lifetime, organic was new at some stage way back in 2000, where using organic cotton was a huge thing, and we started using this and growing into that. And then we've moved into the world of less water and new ways of
mm,
laundry technology. There's always something new, and there's always a learning curve around it. So moving into this world, as I was saying, into the sustainability, but the focus way back to the farm, there's a whole new learning curve. And for me, it's really special because that's everything. I know everything from like
yeah.
the seed all the way through to, wearing our clothes, but then I got on to the next stage of recycling as well, which is really important. So yeah,
It
for me, it's
is.
just constantly learning,
And
and
then
then
sharing.
sharing that knowledge. Jinx, personal
Sorry,
jinx.
yeah, owe me a
Yes.
Coke.
Yeah.
Uh, so you mentioned the Gap, and it sounds like you were there sort of during its heyday when it was just everywhere. And
Was.
I think we may have actually lived in New York at the same time and didn't know it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but I'm curious how that shaped your understanding of supply chains,
Yeah.
because it might be different in the US than Australia, and so just walk us
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, I think it's different, I think more so, especially in its heyday, based on volume. And so each job is a lot more focused. So in Australia, we tend to have smaller population, so smaller volume, different way of working out your work frames within different companies. So for example, when I was working at Jag Jeans, for example, way back in its heyday, we kind of did everything. So we did a bit of design and product development together, and even went into the production world back then. Whereas in New York, it's so big, and we did
Yeah.
the whole collection. So when I started working in New York, they were like, well, what area of design do we want to do? Do you want to design pants or fully fashion nets? Or I'm so used to doing full collections that all of a sudden I had to zone in and choose a category. So that's the difference within the supply chain. Once I got moved into the research and development and innovation side of fabric development and wash, you basically started the planning was for volume. So you started the discussions around buying the yarn types that you like so it was available. Because if I didn't talk directly at that point, the volume was so large, it may not be available. So there was a lot of forward planning and a lot of discussion that the choices I made were able to be flexible
Mhm.
across the different garments, different uses, and so on, and are always available. So we could flip them out, so flexible to use into other fabrics. So immediately there was a learning curve that I never would have had to that extent in other companies just based on volume alone. So that's why I
Right.
often say it was luck. It was very much luck in that sense. And I think back then there was a lot more partnership with, I think we lost a lot of that. Like back then, the supply chain and the discussions and the working together was so important. And then I feel like there might have been a stage where that got a little bit blurry.
Mm.
And we started doing a lot more, relying on our supply chain a lot more and pulling back as brands. But I feel like that is now, that has been forced to change, and we are working a lot more as partnerships, whether it be a small company or a large company, and understanding our supply chain a lot more, which for me is really exciting because that's kind of where my job is now. But I feel like
Yes.
there was a blur for a second. Yeah.
Well, I mean, transition times can feel like that when you're going from one to another, and it's
Yeah.
you just got to fly by the seat of your pants, as they
Yeah,
say.
definitely. There's a lot of that going on. Don't you worry.
Um, so I'm curious about the technology, of course.
Mm.
Can you explain to us how fiber trace works? First of all, what is it? And
Yes.
from human to scanner to consumer, what's the
Hmm.
whole thing? And how is that important to me
Yeah.
as a person?
Yeah, perfect. So basically, it all started with Good Earth Cotton. Good Earth Cotton is a regenerative cotton. I'll talk about the fiber first and then why Good Earth Cotton was entwined. So Good Earth Cotton is a climate positive fiber, which means we sequester more carbon than we emit, which, as most people know, is a big deal because cotton is
Yeah.
known to be one of the largest carbon emitters when it comes to fiber. So that is very exciting, and it took a long process to get there. So as I said, David and Danny Statham's, the owner of the company, are very innovative, and really wanted to find a traceability solution. So at that time, there was a big issue in the public about organic cotton because most certifications uses just literally a bit of paper saying, yes, you've bought organic cotton, but there's no proof otherwise that that is exactly what it is. So it's really hard
And
for a brand.
unfortunately, we do need that certification, don't we? Because not everyone is as honest as you are.
And it's true. And that's the thing. Do you even know if I'm really honest? Like, no one knows.
I don't know her that
No,
well.
no.
Don't, yeah.
This smile, you never know. But
Hmm.
exactly. So that's the thing. For a brand, I can say this is organic cotton. This is a certificate that proved it, that it has been stamped by an official company and all of that sort of stuff. But there's no other functions to prove whether that's
Yep.
correct or not. So the issue is with organic cotton, for example, 73% of organic cotton that's sold in our industry currently does not actually exist. It's not possible to have been grown. There's not enough farms. So it's basically something's going wrong with those little certificates, and there's a few too many
Things
extra
fishy.
stamps, a bit fishy. So there's been a few of those issues. So David and Danny wanted to be able to get a traceability solution for their cotton that you could actually prove physically and digitally together, not just
Hmm.
a bit of paper. And digitally is really just still a bit of paper because there's no physical proof. So they went on a long journey, and they were lucky enough to meet a scientist called Paul Stenning. So Paul Stenning is a scientist with a paper who focuses on paper science. So he actually invented the technology used for fiber trace that I'll get into, and it was originally used for paper notes and passports, so UK money and passports.
Oh, is
To
he English,
He's
Paul?
English, yes,
Okay.
and the company Fibre Trace is actually now based in the UK as well, so it's a UK
Oh,
entity because the majority of our scientists live over in that way.
right.
So David and he actually did a pilot with the International Cotton Association, and David and Danny were lucky enough to be there. So they had asked him, based on the issues of fraudulent cotton, to
Hmm.
apply this pigment that we're going to talk to about this fiber trace technology onto natural fibers. It worked very well, and David and Danny then invested and ended up buying the company. So their aim
Oh,
is to basically give full visibility to and physical traceability to the fiber. So as a customer, before we get to the slideshow, Elizabeth, you will be able to identify that the shirt that you're wearing, if it's fiber trace, is actually fiber trace, not just a bit of paper. Um,
that's really interesting. I'm sorry, you were going to say.
no, that's it. That's it. So what I'll do is I thought I'll show you how it works first. So I get
Okay.
the fascination in place. And then I might share my screen and just take you through the more scientific base, because that's probably better to look at the screen than me trying to
Okay.
explain.
Is this sort of a fiber trace in action?
This is fiber trace in action.
Fiber trace in action. While you're
Yes.
getting ready to share your screen, I'm curious, have you busted anybody?
I have not yet. Almost, almost.
All
We
right.
have had some
Tuned.
cases where the supplier was trying to scan. So I'll explain this and I'll explain the
Yeah.
busting element.
Okay.
So this is a Bluetooth scanner. Can
Oh,
you see that okay?
a
Yeah, just
little bit. Oh,
basic
there we go.
little,
That's good.
yeah. It's going to be a bit back and forward. I
Yeah, yeah,
can't get
yeah.
the,
There it is.
yeah, there we go. So this
Very
is a
high tech.
neutral signal here. So we have an
Okay.
infrared light at the bottom of this. So when this light touches a fabric that has fiber trace pigment in it, the lights will change. So the lights will change in a few different ways. If it's just two or three lights, that means it's reading a small signal. If it's
Hmm.
5 lights, that means it's reading a strong signal. So small signal means it's been blended. So it's not 100% the fiber that it should be as such, or it may be, because often fabrics are
Right.
blended. So, but it gives you a visual option to understand whether it is correct or not. So if I put this against my shirt, which hopefully does not have fiber trace in it, I couldn't remember what I put on this morning. No fiber trace. So nothing
Right.
changes. It's just a regular. But if I put this onto a product that has fiber trace on it, you'll see straight away if I go
Oh,
getting away, exactly, magic. So this is 100% Good Earth cotton, the shirt that I just showed you. With that, if it was supposed to be as a brand, if
yeah.
I expected that to be 100% Good Earth cotton and I only got 3 lights, then I know
Ooh.
that there's an issue, because that is not reading the full signal that it should. So with that, I'll take you through a little bit of how that works and how
Okay.
we make that happen. So I will
This
just
is so exciting.
share my screen. I'm glad you're excited. See, my job's very exciting.
It is. And so is mine. Look at mine. This is
I
great.
know, exactly. Let's just make sure I can make this work. Uh, I should.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So this just tells you about Good Earth Cotton. We've just quickly go over that page, but basically we are called a modern regenerative farming practice. And
Moment.
we
Where could we find Good Earth Cotton? Is it
it's
goodearthcotton.com.au or?
yes, it is Good Earth Cotton.
All
Yep.
right.
Correct. And our farms are all in Australia, and it is
Beauty.
based basically New South Wales and up in Queensland.
Okay.
So this just is a little overview. I'm not going to spend too much time on regenerative farming, because that might be something that's different. People may not have heard of. So regen farming just helps. The whole focus of regen farming is bringing number one, carbon reduction, but also bringing the soil health back to what it was, or even better than what it was, so that we can continue farming without ruining our soil and without ripping the resources around us. So we can
Okay.
maintain it as a sustainable level. But with
Just
all,
does
yeah,
it have something to do with rotation of the crop?
yes. So there's
Okay.
a few, I'll go through quickly. So there's zero or minimal tillage practices is the first, a huge key. So tillage is like in the old days where you see the ox pulling the big plow, and it's, that sort of image.
My
So that,
childhood, yes.
exactly, of course,
According to my
yes.
children, I think they're like, were dinosaurs around when you were little?
Oh my God, yes, I totally understand. So that's a no-no. The idea is to keep that soil as with minimal disturbance at all, so we can keep that carbon, in the soil, basically.
Right.
So with that, we have many practices where we don't pull out the cotton, we cut the tops off, we let it then become natural mulch, and we do
Uh,
crop rotation, which is very important. So the following season, we'll use like a wheat or farro or chickpea, which has a fibrous root, and that will then break up naturally in the soil, the previous roots, rather than ripping it out. I know there's all these subtle basic details that make a huge
hmm.
difference. Also organic compost. We are huge on green energy. Again, that's a whole nother podcast, because I think we are going to be the largest green energy agricultural company in the world. So we'll be creating our own green hydrogen and our own green ammonia in the future by
I'm going to hold you
2027.
to that follow up.
Yes, yeah.
I'm
So there'll be a lot of
important.
press. there'll be a lot of press around it. It's a big deal and it's very exciting. Again, one I
Yeah.
haven't got my head around exactly, another learning curve that I'm very excited about. Also, water efficiency is really key. We have special probes that are used by satellite for reference of exactly where we need to water. So we don't do the flood irrigation that used to happen way long ago. And we have another thing which is fascinating. It's called bankless channels, and it's similar to the cascading of the rice fields, but they're a lot
What
more
sort of channels?
obvious.
Sorry.
Bankless channels. So
Oh, okay.
our cotton fields are literally on a 6-degree angle. So visually you can't tell at all,
Hmm.
but it means that the water naturally cascades down through
Yeah.
the crops. So it's really subtle, but very effective. We have natural pest management. So again, I love this part. They have like something called pigeon pea between the crops. So I'm like, it's the all you can eat buffet for all the insects because they love it. So they come
Yeah.
off the cotton and go straight for that buffet. So that just keeps the cotton crop safe. And for us, I guess there's two sections where we go above and beyond. We're often called regenerative plus plus because we have the fibre trace technology that we're about to talk about. But on
Hmm.
top of that, we also do our own greenhouse gas protocol reporting that we do and we share with our customers every year. So they have full visibility of everything we're doing in our practices. There's no hidden secrets. It's all out in the open. So for our customers, which they do, they can ask any questions and they can also learn with us, which again is all about that, sort of discussion around learning and teaching. Because if people don't see what you're doing, then they don't understand. And so
Hmm.
it's better to have that open conversation and teach so people understand, number one, how much is involved, but
Yeah.
also how amazing it is because it is quite mind blowing.
It
Um,
really is. Okay. So what do we
yeah.
now?
So this next slide, I won't go into too much detail because you can go onto our website and learn more about this. But this is our
Yes.
partner, Downforce, who is an amazing company. Honestly, they've taken the whole regenerative farming, but also the monitoring and the reporting and the data to a whole new level. So they do our guidelines for our greenhouse gas reporting. And with that, we do soil tests and we do our own farm reporting and all of that that goes into a huge, database. But on top of that, they use satellite technology, which again is, I won't get into because it's a whole nother podcast, but it is fascinating. So we,
Six so far.
exactly, I'm taking over your show, Elizabeth.
All right.
But it allows us to get visual monitoring through satellite of what our land looks like. So that's where those little photos you can see of the coloured squares,
Hmm.
that's 10 that we get 10 meters by 10 meters of each of our paddocks to show visually how much carbon's holding, what areas need work, what's happening within the land to give us some real scope on how our methods are working and what we need to work on and what we need to address. So it's a constant visual
Wow.
and learning. It's amazing. Then we get to the fun part, which is what I showed you, which is the fibre trace. So fibre trace again, how it works, it's a rare earth pigment. So I'll go to the next. So here, we start with our pigment. We have a rare earth or inorganic pigment, which is embedded into the textiles. So when I say rare earth, it's not rare as in hard to find. It's
Right.
rare in its properties. So it is dirt. It is like dust. So you can, if you really wanted to eat it, it's GOTS approved, which is a standard saying that it's safe. I don't recommend you eating it. It's not very
Have you
tasty.
tried it?
I
Do you know
have
what it
tried
tastes
it.
like?
I
Oh,
have.
delicious. What is
Tastes
it? Like
like
chicken?
dirt. Like dirt. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what it needs, a bit of chicken salt. That'd be better. Um, but basically being a dust, we need a carrier. So we can't just throw it onto the cotton and let it stick. So we use something called a viscose, which is again a man-made fiber. But the amount, and we put this dust in it as such,
Mm.
the pigment into it, and then it allows us to feed that in with the cotton. Um, the amount that we have to put into the cotton to make it effective is less than dust. So it's 0.01 or 0.02% within the fiber, which is really important for someone buying the cotton because
Yeah.
it's equivalent to dust or contamination. And there's only a certain level you're allowed to have in cotton of
Mm.
contamination. Australian cotton being so low in contamination also gives us a heads up. But yeah, it's basically equivalent to dust. So you don't even need to put it into your content. So once it's actually fused to the fibre, which is done at the gin process. So when your cotton is
Okay.
actually, cotton comes in from the harvest, for everyone that doesn't know, it gets dumped into a big dumpster. From there, it comes through and it gets cleaned. So it goes
Mhm.
through a cleaning machine where it pulls out any of the seeds and all of any debris that's been in the field. And at that point, it gets washed and it also gets dried. So this is fed in at the gin in tiny little increments and blown in the drying process. So once it's combined with the cotton, it's combined for life. You look puzzled,
Mm.
Elizabeth. Question?
No, no, I'm picturing it. I like to
Yeah.
picture what's going on. So this fine
Yes.
dust is in all the cotton before it's even turned into a thread.
Correct, correct. And the viscose, if we go back, see this, this is actually the viscose. So the picture that you see there with the fiber trace, it looks
Yes.
like cotton, but it's actually the pigment in the viscose that's fed into the
Oh,
at the gin stage. So it kind of looks like fairy floss and it blows in with the cotton. And once it's combined in that cotton, goes through the drying process and goes into a bale, it's there and combined for life.
mm.
So
For anyone outside of Australia, fairy floss is cotton candy.
yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yes, the cotton candy.
Mm.
So once it's combined, it's there for life. So it's put into a bale, and this is when the scanner comes into it. So the scanner that I showed you before, holding
Mm.
up there, is we scan each bale so that that reference is saved. So that's a physical and digital scan that's then saved to our platform, so our on the blockchain. So you've got a recording of the time, the person that scanned it, the location, and all of the details right there on the platform.
Mm.
It then gets sent to the spinner. And the spinner does the same thing. I'll go through quickly. You scan the cotton, it gets sent to the spinner. The spinner then scans it in to make sure that what it's received is what it should be. It then makes it into a yarn and scans the yarn before it goes to the fabric mill. Fabric Mill
Wow.
scans it and confirms and saves it into the platform. Same with the garments. And then it gets to the brand and the brand scanned it. Then the consumer gets a QR code if they would like. So with this QR code, which is right here on our screen, so anyone at home, feel free to scan that if you're watching this later, and it will show you a demonstration of a full journey of what this looks like. But you can see from this
Ooh.
little map on the picture,
Yeah.
each point that that garment has been scanned and saved in the blockchain on the platform. So it will go from farm, and you can click onto the farm and it will tell you all about the farm. It'll tell you the
Hmm.
time it was scanned, the person that scanned it, and all of those details, all the way through to store and beyond. So you can see on the right-hand side of this screen, that's just a
Hmm.
drop down of points of times and locations of where that garment was. So it gives you
Wow.
full details. And what's really exciting is it pulls in, you were saying originally at the start of the conversation, like, what does that mean to you as a consumer? It
Yeah.
means that you can see and reach it if you want to, where that garment was made, what
Hmm.
factory, the fact that they're telling the truth. It takes away any any possibility of greenwashing because it's all right there for you in real
Beautiful.
time. And if you questioned it, you could even have a scanner and scan your own garment and prove that what they're saying is actually true. So yeah, it's quite
I
thorough.
could get a scanner.
Oh, you would. I mean, often sometimes at stores they have scanners for customers who are knowledgeable. So I know
Mm.
Country Road, for example, used to have scanners at some of their key locations just because it was such a beautiful story. And customers are genuinely interested. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great for them to use. This is just another this is more for a brand side of things, but this is called what we call transaction records. So that information that you saw on the journey, we can also pull that down with one click into paperwork. So if you were at customs, for example, as a brand, and they're
Hmm.
questioning whether the cotton is Australian or the fact that it was made in China, is it really Chinese cotton? How can you prove it? You can pull down this paperwork straight away for them that has all of the details and the data right there, which previously could take up to 6 months or whatever to pull it if
Sure.
you weren't recording it. It just takes a long time. So this is just with the click of the button. It's really that it's there. And for international companies, this is a really important factor. With there's so much legislation globally, it makes a big difference. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing there because that kind of tells the
Okay.
story.
It does. And I mean,
Mm.
it's a beautiful story. And I always have to come in and ask, are there any negative impacts or limitations to this beautiful story? Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, the only limitation that we have, which is hopefully going to be fixed by next 2026 first quarter,
Mm,
is our scanner. So our scanner here at the moment can only scan one signature. So Good Earth Cotton, for example, has its own signature. So when we're doing the pigment, it's almost like if you're making a cake, you follow this recipe and that's for Good Earth Cotton. And then for the minerals for other fibers, we make a different recipe and that's for them. So there's a US cotton signature, for example, that
right.
if you scan it, will still come up in green lights, but if you scan it onto the platform, it will only read that US signature recipe. So if you're trying to scan Good Earth Cotton, okay, but it's not reading it because you've accidentally picked up a US cotton bale, it won't read. It will say it doesn't match. It doesn't. So at the moment, our scanner
Mm,
only can read one signature at a time.
okay.
Yeah.
So work to do.
So it's almost, yeah, it's actually done. It's just in testing. So by first quarter 2026, you'll be able, we've got a special scanner that can read up to 6 signatures.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great.
and there's unlikely to be more than 6 fibers within one yarn. So yes,
One would hope they could
that would
limit it.
tick all the
Yeah.
boxes. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's about it really.
Okay, so you were talking
Mm,
about global international laws, and
mm,
I'm aware because of our prep chat that the
mm.
U.S. has a ban on slave labor cotton, and so has this created opportunities or challenges for Good Earth Cotton? Just walk us through
Absolutely.
that whole, yeah.
So huge opportunity. So the fact that our cotton is traceable, both physical and digital, in real time. So one factor about being in real time is that it doesn't stop the supply chain. So it doesn't sort of stop them from working and have to send off and get testing and then come back. It's everything keeps the same flow. They don't have to stop anything. But as I said, often there are situations where there's been Australian brands actually that have moved to Good Earth Cotton for exactly this reason. They will get to customs in the States and they don't have proper proof that they're where their cotton's from. So if you can't prove that it's not from a certain area that uses slave labor in China, then
Hmm.
you can't get it in until you gather that paperwork. And that paperwork, like I said, can take forever because it's, that cotton that you're using may have been sitting in the warehouse for 6 months to a year. So it's not
Yeah.
immediate. So unless you're aware of these factors, which happen quite quickly, that you're just not prepared. So this has been great for us because again, it's very traceable. The other thing about Good Earth Cotton also is the move from conventional cotton to regenerative cotton. Um, People, especially in the States, are very acutely aware and focused on their carbon footprint within the supply chain. So
Yeah.
starting with a raw fiber that is already carbon neutral helps greatly with starting off
Sure.
at that point. So for us, that's been a huge benefit for both Europe and the US. So yeah, again, not something that really makes a difference in Australia, but definitely for overseas.
So what I'm understanding is, I mean, I, as a consumer, have a certain responsibility to inform myself, make sure I'm making wise decisions about,
Yep.
food, obviously grown in a certain way. And then as we're talking about um, fabric, I'm just wondering, does your traceability kind of shifts the responsibility from consumer to brand, which is kind of comforting for me.
Mm.
How are the brands finding it?
Well, for them, it's helpful because there is a shift. And like I said, there's a lot of different legislation requirements where your supply chain needs to be visible. So you need to be able to prove where your fiber starts with, the process it's gone through, And even in Europe, the plan for ongoing is in what's the end of life program for this fibre, for this garment.
Right.
So for us, we give full visibility, but I guess the difference for us, which is really exciting, it's not just a digital traceability, it's a physical. So it's extra verification, and it mitigates risk for brands. So they're very excited. Again, the thing for brands on the negative part, it's a really daunting, like most people, and I said this is the disconnect earlier that I feel like happened in the supply chain somewhere for brands, is they're often used to working with just their tier one, which is their garment maker, who then
Hmm.
organizes the rest of the production for them. So they give them their order or tell them what they want. They do developments with their CMT supplier, their manufacturer, and that manufacturer, does everything from the spinning, the fabric, and the make, and that brand just gets the finished garment. The difference with this and using the fiber trace is you get to know your whole supply chain, which you kind of have to these days. And it's getting more and more important. You can't sort of be blindsided and say, well, I don't know. You have to be
No.
responsible. So for brands, it feels like it's really hard, but when you get the support, and got so many positive stories, it's made it much easier. So it's been a joy for me, because even for the spinners, like on the meetings when we first bring the supply chains all together, the
Yeah,
spinners are so thrilled to meet the garment makers or the brands,
I
because
bet.
they are always isolated. They've never had that communication. So I think they finally feel seen and heard, and it's been beautiful to watch the relationships and the networking of the supply chains.
Oh, I love
So yeah,
that.
yeah, no, it's really special. So yeah, I've
Building
really
some
enjoyed it.
community while we have this different goal. It's just a nice
Mm,
byproduct of that. Speaking of sort of ripple effects, you were
yeah.
talking about the oceans, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
know I spoke with my children. My daughter is
Mm.
very keenly aware of what's going on in the oceans. She won't eat seafood, and
Really?
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what part does this play in that part of it? I'm finished with
Yeah.
my blue jeans. I don't wear them anymore. Maybe I send them to the op shop and they have a second life that way. But then what
Mm.
happens if they do end up in the bin, right? So how does this help the ocean?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we help with recycling. So that's one area where we're working with a lot of brands, because you've got that ID in there. So a big brand that has the volume may offer their customers, if you bring back your garments to this particular location, so say your jeans,
Mhm.
we will then recycle them for you and make them back into, I'm not going to say brands, but into a new fabric. So the difference is, because we've already got the journey for this particular products, they can prove that they are actually their products, and then they can be remade into a new product. So you've still got the traceability. So for us, the pigment can remain. You will, because with recycled fibers, they're not that strong. They're not as strong as
Yeah.
virgin fibers. So you do have to blend them. So what we'd normally do is, if you're using a regenerative cotton, with this, you would add a little bit more fiber trace in there to get the signal that you need for the new life of the fabric. And then it starts a new journey. But you've got that traceability of full circle. So it's not probably so relevant to the sea, but it does give you the option for a brand to be responsible to recycle their products, and to
Hmm.
make sure that what they're recycling is their products. So they have
Yes.
full control again. It's not being tampered or changed. And I think
Mm.
when it comes to things like, the sea or environment in general, the fact that you can tell if your garment's being blended. So it's probably more on a social level of like swapping out cotton with different cotton. So a brand can be very, very comforted that it cannot be blended with a Chinese cotton or another cotton that hasn't been, you know, um, even a conventional in comparison to a regenerative. Because if you're a brand that's doing a story on regenerative cotton, and we've invested in this, and this is the way our company's going, and they find out that
Mm.
it's actually not that cotton, it's the brand's responsibility. It's the brand that's going to get the issue. So it gives them the reassurance that the story they're telling is the real story.
Yeah. And that
Mm.
recycle stations that you're talking about would be found
Mm.
on your website?
No, I mean they're not in the sense of they're brand partners, so it's sort of beyond.
Oh,
It's not. Oh, actually, saying that I lie. In October, sorry, I'm not usually a liar, but in October we are working on the fibre trace side of things, which is the sister company. We are doing a fibre trace hub. We're the main sponsors for a huge conference, a textile conference in Portugal this year called Textile Exchange.
mhm.
So we are the main sponsor, and also Good Earth Cotton will also be showcasing there as well. So in preparation for that, we are doing a fibre trace hub that will be available on the platform probably from October onwards. And that will show
Beautiful.
our supply partners and who we're working with. So yeah, it'll give a bit of
Okay.
visibility of who's actually has these actions in yeah, actions in action. Yeah.
Actions in action. So if I'm a very responsible consumer and I want to recycle my cotton, how
Mhm.
would I go about doing that?
It's tricky. There in Australia, there is a few. There's a place called Textile Exchange that will
Hmm.
pick up your cotton. It's a small cost, but that's I think about the only way they actually make real money. So they charge you per box or whatever to pick up your clothing, and then they take it to their facility. They then mechanically get it prepared and then send it to recycling manufacturers overseas. So they've got different partners. To be honest, at this stage for them, just so the customers know out there, they don't make a lot of money from doing this. This is still a new thing. And again, us as consumers don't like giving away money very easily. So usually it's only the very passionate or the bigger businesses that can tick a box do this because they often have to pay companies to take it to because of
Right.
the long shipping, which is really
Sure.
expensive. So the only way they can actually make this work is by charging by picking up. Because
Okay.
otherwise, at this stage, because we are so far away, it's a really difficult situation or difficult, based on logistics and shipping.
Of
But yeah,
course.
it
And
does
yeah.
exist and they're doing an amazing job. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And,
Yeah.
until we find a way to just share well
Mm.
with one another like we used to in kindergarten, money
Yes.
is
Yes.
important to get things done. So if you want to do the right
Definitely.
thing, pay the people to come and pick up your clothing.
Hmm.
Now, Beck, you've been super informative. We had a presentation. The last thing we're going to do here is a bit of rapid fire questions to get your brain
Yeah.
going this morning. Are you excited?
Scary. I don't know if I've had
Okay.
enough coffee yet. Go for
Have a
it.
sip, have a sip, take a big
Mm,
deep breath.
yeah.
It's not going to be scary.
Yeah.
What's one fashion trend you secretly love or hate?
Denim on denim, I love.
You love it. Oh, see,
Love.
now that's funny. I'm like,
Love.
absolutely not.
Love. But there's rules around it. There's rules around it. It has to be
Okay.
the same color denim on denim. What I do
Like
hate
in
is
jail, like old prisons, you
yes,
used.
yes, like a
Okay.
uniform.
That's,
I
I,
like if it's light denim, it's a light denim top and a light denim, and they have to match almost perfectly. That's my rule for myself. But if you see me, I'm constantly wearing denim on denim, even triple denim. I'm a denim's freak.
oh, wow. Well, it's
Yeah,
your business, so that
it
makes
is my
sense.
business. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So, alternate timeline. What's your career if it's not fashion?
Do you know what? I always had this fantasy that I was going to be a psychologist. I don't really know why, but that was
Oh,
always my fantasy. So maybe a psychologist. Who knows?
okay. Well, you do
Yeah.
ask people questions
Hmm.
and you
I'm
listen
very,
very well, so I
very
can see that.
interested. I always found that fascinating when I was younger. So yeah, I've always interested. So yeah,
All
possibly.
right.
Yeah.
Um, all right. And what is your current first world problem?
Oh goodness. What is my current first world problem? Oh, there's so many. Choosing one is so hard. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Enough time, finding enough time in my day to get things done. Yeah. Too busy.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's not a
With fun
lie.
things. Too busy with fun things, not with
That's
dramatic
very
things.
true. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to get back on the
Mm,
phone. But you remind me, I wrote a brief article. It's on my LinkedIn profile if you're curious.
mm,
It's called Playing
mm.
with Time.
Yes.
And because everybody, pardon me,
Mm.
Everybody says this, I have no time. And
Mm.
it's our excuse to deprioritize ourselves,
Yes.
and not partake in the good habits that we know that will help us deliver our best to our family and our friends and our colleagues. Um, so my suggestion to all of you people who don't have enough time is the next time you're in the car and you left late and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I have no time to get there, the light that's keeping you from your destination, use that opportunity to do some deep breathing. Or the
Mm.
person who cuts you off, or the person who doesn't make the turn at the right time, they're
Mm.
actually giving you the gift of time. So instead of being angry and shouting at them, I suggest that we do some deep breathing while we wait for the light to change. And
I
it's
love that.
it's a different take on time. It gives you a little bit more back.
I love that.
I'm glad. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that the
Thank
listeners were
you.
equally intrigued because, I mean, the people that I meet doing this show and the things that they do, we have no idea what everybody
Mm.
does. And you
Mm.
just have these like six careers that people do or something. And this has been amazing. You're doing
Thank
work
you.
that's good for the planet. You're bringing a sense of safety and trust into when people are concerned about the planet and they can
Mm.
know that what they're doing is the right thing. So hats off and go good
Thank
Earth.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll put all
you.
the information in the notes for the show. Beck, a joy.
No, thank you. I loved it. Sorry, I feel like I talked a lot, but I think that's the aim, isn't it?
Supposed to.
Yeah,
Yes, it's a
good.
guest-led show. That's why I asked
Yeah,
you here. I don't know
that's
anything about this.
wonderful. No, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone. Thank
excellent.
you.
All right. Everybody have a great day.
Bye.